Crush depth. It is a term submariners know but never speak of. It is the precise, calculated point where the ocean's pressure becomes infinite, and a reinforced steel hull collapses on itself in less than a single 20th of a second. It is not a leak. It is an implosion, a detonation of water, and it is the end. For over 150 years, thousands of sailors have vanished into that silent, crushing darkness. Their vessels, designed to be the ultimate predators, become their tombs. They are declared on eternal patrol, their missions never-ending. These are the whispers from the deep, the stories of history's lost submarines. The submarine is a paradox. It is one of the most complex and powerful war machines ever devised, yet it is utterly, terrifyingly fragile. It is a sealed, metallic bubble of life, heat, and air, purposefully sunk into an environment that is actively, constantly trying to destroy it. The men and women who serve on them are a different breed. They accept a unique psychological pact. To do their job, they must be invisible. They are the silent service. They operate on the principle of rig for ultra-quiet. They become ghosts in the water, hunting other ghosts. But the price of this invisibility is absolute isolation. When a plane crashes, there is a search area. When a ship sinks, there is debris. But when a submarine is in trouble, it often has no way to call for help. It cannot surface, it cannot transmit a radio signal through water. All it can do is release a bubble of oil or drop a location beacon and pray. Often, there is nothing, just a missed check-in, a scheduled arrival that never happens, and then the silence. This is not a story of submarines lost in the fire of combat, hit by torpedoes or depth charges. This is a story of a deeper, more chilling mystery. This is what happens when the machine fails, when the ocean wins, when the most advanced vessels on Earth simply disappear. Our timeline of whispers begins not with steel and nuclear power, but with iron and men turning a crank by hand. Case 1, the H.L. Hunley, 1864. The year is 1864, the American Civil War. The Confederate port of Charleston, South Carolina, is being strangled by a Union blockade. Desperate for a new weapon, the Confederacy builds what is essentially a 40-foot-long iron tube. It's a peripatetic coffin. It's propelled by a crew of 8 men, sitting on a wooden bench, shoulder to shoulder, turning a giant shared hand crank. It has already sunk twice during testing, killing 13 men, including its own inventor, Horace Lawson Hunley. But they are desperate. They find a new crew, a third crew, led by Lieutenant George E. Dixon. Their plan is audacious. They will attach a 135-pound bomb, a spar torpedo, to a 22-foot pole on the front of the sub. Their mission? Sail out on the tide, ram the torpedo into the side of a Union warship, reverse, and get away before it explodes. On the freezing cold night of February 17, 1864, the Hunley slips into the dark water. Its target is the USS Housatonic, a 1,200-ton sloop of war. An officer on the Housatonic deck spots something in the water. He thinks it's a log, or perhaps a porpoise. By the time he realizes it's moving at them, it's too late. The Hunley strikes. The explosion is catastrophic. The Housatonic is ripped open and sinks in less than 5 minutes, killing 5 of its crew. From the shore, Confederate lookouts watch. The Hunley crew is supposed to signal their success with a blue light. The minutes tick by. Then, in the darkness, they see it, a faint blue lantern waving. The mission is a success. The Hunley has made history. It is the first submarine to ever sink an enemy warship. And then it vanishes. It never returns to the harbor. It doesn't wash ashore. For 131 years, the Hunley and its crew of 8 are gone, swallowed by the sea. The whisper it leaves behind is a simple, haunting question. What happened? They won. Why didn't they come home? Case 2. The USS Thresher, 1963. We jump forward 99 years, from an iron tube to a nuclear-powered hunter-killer. The USS Thresher, SSN 593, is the most advanced submarine in the world. She is the lead ship of her class, the pride of the U.S. Navy. She is not just fast and quiet, she is designed to dive deeper than any sub before her, to hunt Soviet missile boats in the abyssal depths. On April 10, 1963, the Thresher is 220 miles east of Cape Cod. She is conducting deep dive trials. On the surface, the submarine rescue ship USS Skylark listens in, communicating via an underwater telephone. On board the Thresher are 120 men, 112 crew, and 17 civilian technicians and shipyard workers. They are the best of the best on the finest ship in the fleet. The dive begins. 07:47 a.m. Thresher reports it is proceeding to its test depth. 08:53 a.m. A routine, clear communication. Checking for leaks, all normal. 09:02 a.m. Thresher reports experiencing minor difficulties, have positive up angle, am attempting to blow. This means they've tilted the sub upwards and are trying to force water out of their ballast tanks to surface. The Skylark crew isn't worried. This is a state-of-the-art boat. A new message comes from the deep. The voice is strained, garbled by the acoustic telephone. It's just a few words. Test depth. 900. And then a sound. The sonar operator on the Skylark would later testify he heard something like a compartment collapsing. A dull, heavy, crushing sound. The Skylark communicator calls out, "Thresher, Thresher, this is Skylark. How do you read?" There is only silence. For minutes, the Skylark circles, pinging its sonar into the void. At 09:17 a.m., they hear it. A sound that, once heard, is never forgotten. A sound the sonarman described as a massive implosion, like a whole ship breaking apart. 129 men, gone in an instant. The Navy is stunned. The nation is horrified. How? How could the most advanced submarine in the world, in peacetime, simply die? The whisper from the deep is one of catastrophic, instantaneous failure. Case 3. The K-129, 1968. The Cold War is at its absolute peak. Just 5 years after the Thresher disaster, the other side of the world faces its own silent mystery. In February 1968, the Soviet Gulf II-class submarine K-129 sails from its base in Kamchatka. She is a diesel-electric sub, but she carries a terrifying cargo, 3 nuclear-armed ballistic missiles. Her patrol area is in the Pacific off the coast of Hawaii. On March 8, 1968, the K-129 is scheduled for a routine radio check-in. The transmission never comes. The Soviet naval headquarters is frantic. This isn't just a lost sub, it's a lost strategic nuclear asset. The Kremlin orders a massive search. Dozens, then hundreds of ships and planes pour into the Pacific. They sail their patrol route back and forth, listening, searching. The search is so large, so overt, that the U.S. Navy notices. The Soviets are clearly and desperately looking for something big. After weeks, the Soviets find nothing. No oil slick, no debris, no trace. The K-129 and its 98 crew members are declared lost. But they are not lost to everyone. The Americans were listening. Not with ships, but with a top-secret network of underwater hydrophones placed on the ocean floor called SOS, the Sound Surveillance System. SOS had recorded an event on March 8th, a catastrophic violent pop, a sound consistent with an implosion. Using the time of arrival data from multiple sensors, the U.S. Navy's top acoustic analysts triangulate the sound. They pinpoint the K-129's grave to a specific 5-mile square patch of ocean floor. The Soviets have no idea. The whisper from the K-129 is different. It is not just a tragedy, it's a secret. A nuclear-armed Soviet submarine, with its codebooks, its technology, and its nuclear warheads, is lying 3 miles down, and only the CIA knows where. The greatest intelligence prize of the Cold War is waiting to be collected. Case 4, the ARA San Juan, 2017. We now arrive in the modern era, an age of satellites, GPS, and global communication. Submarines are safer, stronger. A loss like the Thresher is not supposed to happen again. But the ocean doesn't care about our technology. November 2017. The ARA San Juan, a German-built diesel-electric submarine, is on a routine patrol for the Argentine Navy. On board are 44 crew members, including Eliana Krauchik, Argentina's first-ever female submarine officer. On the morning of November 15th, the submarine makes its last contact. The captain calls his shore commander. His message is alarming, but not yet a crisis. He reports that seawater has leaked into the snorkel, a large ventilation pipe. The water has dripped down onto the forward battery banks, causing a short circuit. He reports a fire or smoke without flames. But then he reports the problem is solved. The faulty battery bank has been isolated. They are proceeding on their course, submerged, using their aft batteries. He is ordered to cut his patrol short and return to the naval base at Mar del Plata. That is the last anyone ever hears from them. For 48 hours, the Argentine Navy believes the San Juan is simply having communications issues, a common problem. But after 2 days, a full-scale alarm is raised. What follows is one of the largest, most desperate international search and rescue operations in modern history. For weeks, the world watches. 13 countries, including the US, UK, and Russia, send their most advanced ships, planes, and rescue submersibles. The families of the 44 crew members gather at the naval base, praying, holding pictures, waiting. The search is a brutal, emotional roller coaster. A ship detects pings, a tapping sound. Hopes surge, but it's just ocean noise. A U.S. Navy plane detects a heat signature. It turns out to be a fishing boat. Then, a new, terrible piece of data emerges. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, CTBTO, a global network of sensors designed to detect secret nuclear explosions, announces it has reviewed its data. On the morning of November 15th, just 3 hours after the San Juan's final call, its hydroacoustic stations detected an anomalous, short, violent, non-nuclear event right along the submarine's projected path. The whisper from the deep is a hydroacoustic anomaly. It's a polite, scientific term for a catastrophic implosion. The hope of rescue is over. But the submarine is still lost. The families, heartbroken and furious, demand answers. They demand a graveyard. The search is called off. The 44 are gone. A submarine that is lost is a question, a mystery. But sometimes, decades later, the ocean gives up its answers. The Hunley. For 131 years, the Hunley was a ghost story. Then, in 1995, a dive team led by author Clive Cussler found it, buried in the silt, just yards from the wreck of its victim, the Housatonic. In 2000, the 30-ton submarine was raised, intact, from the seabed. Inside, archaeologists found the answer to the whisper. The skeletons of the 8-man crew were all at their posts. They were not drowned. They had not tried to escape. Their bilge pumps were not engaged. The captain, George Dixon, was still at his dive controls. The men were still on the bench, hands near the crank. The answer was more terrifying. A 2017 study by Duke University researchers concluded the crew was killed by their own weapon. The 135-pound black powder charge of their torpedo, detonating just 20 feet away, did not just breach the Housatonic's hull, it created a massive underwater shockwave. This blast wave traveled through the water and through the Hunley's thin iron hull. It was, in effect, a pressure bomb that passed instantly through the crew's bodies, pulverizing the soft tissues of their lungs and brains. They were killed instantly at their stations without even knowing what had happened. Their successful attack was their own immediate execution. The loss of the Thresher was so shocking it was unacceptable. The Navy had to know why. Using the deep-sea bathyscaphe Trieste, they found the debris field. The sub was shattered into 6 main pieces, spread over 33 acres. The investigation uncovered a horrifying, cascading failure. The minor difficulty was a pipe. A silver brazed joint in a saltwater pipe in the engine room, a pipe not subject to the highest quality control, burst. A high-pressure atomized spray of saltwater shot out, blasting a main electrical panel. The panels short-circuited. The reactor scrammed, shutting itself down. The Thresher lost propulsion. She was dead in the water, a heavy steel tube sinking by the bow. The crew did exactly what they were trained to do. They tried to blow the main ballast tanks. But as the high-pressure air rushed through the pipes, it expanded rapidly, and the moisture in it froze solid in the valves, clogging them with ice. They couldn't stop their descent. They were a dead weight, sinking stern first until they passed 2,000 feet, and the ocean crushed them. The Thresher's legacy is called SubSafe. It was a complete top-to-bottom revolution in submarine design and quality control. Every weld, every joint, every single component was recertified. It was hideously expensive, but its record is perfect. In the 60 years since, no SubSafe certified U.S. submarine has ever been lost. The 129 men of the Thresher died, but their sacrifice has saved thousands. The K-129, the whisper from K-129, did not lead to a safety program. It led to the most audacious and secret espionage operation of the Cold War. It was called Project Azorian. The CIA, knowing the location of the sub, decided they were going to steal it. In total secrecy, they commissioned a $350 million ship, billions in today's money, called the Hughes Glomar Explorer. The cover story? Eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes was going to mine manganese nodules from the ocean floor. The ship was a marvel. It was a giant 619-foot vessel with a hollow center, a massive hidden claw underneath, and a moon pool that would allow it to lift the submarine inside its own hull, hidden from satellites and spy planes. In 1974, 6 years after the K-129 sank, the Glomar Explorer sailed to the site. They lowered the claw 3 miles down. They found the wreck. They locked on. They began to lift. And then, 2/3 of the way up, the battered, corroded submarine broke apart. A massive section, including the missile silos and code room, fell back to the ocean floor. The CIA only recovered the forward 38-foot section. What they found inside is still highly classified. But they did find 2 nuclear torpedoes, and they found the bodies of 6 Soviet submariners. In an act of incredible respect, they held a full military burial at sea. As the Glomar Explorer stood over the grave of its enemy, the American crew stood at attention as a U.S. Navy chaplain read the burial service in both English and Russian, committing the Soviet sailors back to the deep. The ARA San Juan. For 1 year and 2 days, the families of the 44 crew members lived in limbo. They protested, they chained themselves to fences, they demanded the government not give up. Finally, the government hired a private firm, Ocean Infinity, to conduct one last search. On November 17, 2018, using a fleet of autonomous underwater vehicles, they found it. A sonar image, 3,000 feet down, confirmed the family's worst fears. The San Juan was found. Its hull imploded and scattered. The hydroacoustic anomaly was its final violent death rattle. The battery leak, it is believed, led to a massive hydrogen gas explosion which breached the hull, and the ocean did the rest. There was no rescue, there was no miracle. There was only a grave. But now, at least, it was a known grave. The whisper had an answer. We build these machines to conquer the deep. We build them to be invisible, to be silent, to hold the fate of nations in their torpedo tubes. But the ocean is a realm of physics, not politics. It does not care about our flags or our missions. It only cares about pressure. The Hunley, the Thresher, the K-129, the San Juan. They are from different centuries. They are powered by hand, by diesel, by the atom. But their stories are the same. They are stories of incredible courage, of men and women who willingly seal themselves inside a steel tube and sail into an environment more hostile than outer space. And they are stories of catastrophic failure, of cascading events where one small minor difficulty, a faulty pipe, a leaking seal, a weapon's shockwave, becomes the single point of failure for everything. These submarines are not just wrecks, they are memorials. They are time capsules of technology and of human bravery. They are the cost of a silent service. And though they are gone, they are not forgotten. They are forever on eternal patrol, their stories carried to us as whispers from the deep.